it's green and wiggles, it's biology. If it stinks, it's chemistry. And if it doesn't work, it's physics. Hello and a warm welcome to everyone on the behalf of Bella Shishu Vihar. It's me, Jahanvi, your host, and we are here to conduct Science Mania. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become action. Watch your action, they become destiny. So let's start our event, Science Mania. Before moving on, let me brief you about what Science Mania is. Science Mania is all about the discovery of magic behind science. We get up in the morning from waking of alarm clocks and go to bed at night after switching our lights off. All these luxuries that we are able to afford today are the resultant of science and technology. I know some of you might be wondering that we live in the 21st century and we know all these things, so stop telling us these things. Okay, so moving on. The world is full of diamonds and gems, and we are having some of them today to build the event. Today we are having brilliant students who will perform some interesting activities related to different disciplinaries of science, that is biology, physics and chemistry. So let's start with biology. Well, before we begin, let me tell you an interesting fact about the relation between our thumb and nose. Like the size of our thumb is same as the size of our nose. Like I can show you, the size of my thumb is same as the size of my nose. Isn't it interesting? Like I want you guys to try it. Okay, so we are having Kalpana, Sheetal and Khushi from class 12th and Varsha, Shrestha and Khwaish from class 11th to perform some interesting activities related to biology. So are you guys ready to enter in the world of biology? So here we go.
Hello everyone, this is Kalpana of class 12 with my activity on extraction of DNA from banana. So before starting the activity, I would like to enlighten all of you about this technique and its uses. It's a routine procedure to isolate the DNA from nucleus of the cell, and this procedure has made the study of genome easier to identifying the genes behind the genetic disorders, diseases as well as impacts of drugs on it. It also helps us to carrying out the investigations in forensic science and to determine the paternity of child. So to start with the activity, let's collect the materials required for it. So the first one is banana, whose DNA is to be extracted. It is in the mashed form and filtered by a filter gauge. The second is called isopropyl, and our last material is precipitating agent. It is formed of hot water, liquid soap and table salt, and with the help of all these materials we will able to extract the real DNA which is visible by our naked eyes. So let's start the activity. First of all, I will mix this mashed banana into the precipitating agent, and when this entire solution will be mixed, I will add it into the isopropyl. Let's wait for some time and watch. Here you are able to see that DNA has started precipitating over the surface of solution, and you all would be surprised to see this. And we all know that there is a science behind every phenomena occurring in the environment. So I am going to talk about the scientific principle of this activity, and one by one we will talk about the materials required to perform the activity and its role. So the first one is mashed banana. The purpose of mashing was to break down the cells. And the second is precipitating agent. If you remember, it consists of hot water, table salt and liquid soap. So after the cell wall, cell membrane is the next barrier, and the hot water melts the cell membrane. After it, the next step is to dissolve the cell membrane into the aqueous layer. So that function was carried out by liquid salt. The purpose of adding salt was to neutralize the charge on DNA and make molecule less soluble, and it also removed the protein that are bound to DNA and keep that protein dissolved into the aqueous layer. Let's see how it looks like. This is the DNA which was extracted out of the solution. Thank you, and now I request next participant to continue the event.
Imagine a place so dark that you can't see the nose on your face. Eyes open or closed, it's all the same. Suddenly, you see a light. When you creep in to investigate, a blue light flits around you. I could watch this forever, you think. But you can't, because the mouth of an anglerfish has just sprung open and eaten you alive. You are just one of the many creatures at the bottom of the ocean who learn too late to appreciate the power of bioluminescence.
Hello everyone, this is Varsha from class 11th. To start with, let me show you a magic trick with distilled water, some instant light powder and normal red paint. Let's mix them. And now let's turn off the lights.
See, it's glowing. Have you ever seen something like this in the nature? We all are familiar with fireflies. Its ability to glow is what makes it unique.
The ability of certain organisms to emit light is known as bioluminescence. While the human body can produce stuff like toenails and earwax, some organisms can turn their body parts into glow sticks. It's like nature made them ready to rave. In one way or the other, bioluminescence increases the chances of survival. For instance, take the example of a firefly. Its ability to glow green helps it attract a mate on a warm summer night. Next comes the railroad worm, Phryxothrix hirtus. It can light up its body into two colors. It's red and green. Would you like to eat something that looks like an airport runway? Neither would any sensible predator. The flashing light keeps the worm safe. Bioluminescence results from a chemical reaction that takes place between a light-emitting molecule luciferin and an enzyme luciferase. The distilled water which I showed you in the magic acted as luciferase and the instant glow powder as luciferin. The beauty of bioluminescence is that it is neither hot and is also replenishable. That's one reason why scientists are trying to make bioluminescent trees. Imagine when planted along the highway, they will light up our way by using only some atmospheric oxygen and clean replenishable resources. How else can bioluminescence help us? If you think that way, you have seen the light. Thank you. And now I request the next participant to take over.
Hello everyone, my name is Khushi. I am from class 12th. Today, I will perform a science experiment on the topic effect of salivary myelin starch. Have you ever wondered that after chewing a chapati properly, it becomes more sweeter than before? So let's find the reason behind it. To perform this experiment, we need certain materials like iodine solution, 2 beakers with warm water, 2 droppers and starch. So let's start this experiment. First add about 1 gram of starch in both the solutions. And then using a dropper, mix them properly. After this, add about 2 to 3 drops of iodine solution in both the beakers. And then mix them properly. After this, add about 2 to 3 ml of saliva in first beaker. Then leave it for about 2 minutes and let's see what happens. So after 2 minutes, we can observe that the color of first beaker has faded. So after 2 minutes, we can observe that it's not still colorless, so we should wait for 2 more minutes. So after 2 more minutes, we can see that the color of first beaker has got fully faded. However, after some time, we can observe that the solution in which saliva was added fades and turn white. So, you must be excited to find the reason behind it. The reason is the saliva added breaks down the starch and converts into small sugar molecule. Due to the presence of salivary amylase, this breakdown takes place. And once the conversion of starch to sugar molecule happens, the color changes back. Now I request next participant to please continue.
I'm Vash, and on this mind-tickling occasion of Science Week, I'm here to represent the biology side. So, today I'm going to show you some activities. We are all living in the era of innovation, and innovation is happening in every field through science. And biology is also doing wonders. And one of the phenomena are biochemistry. So today we are going to cook an egg without sheep. Well, I know many of you must be wondering about what I just said. But now without wasting any time, here let me show you how to cook an egg without sheep. So first of all, for this we need alcohol, which is about 70 to 75% concentration. And we need an egg and 2 beakers or 2 glasses. First of all, we'll have to put the egg inside alcohol. Now let's wait for this wonder to happen. Now let's check what will happen to our egg. As in the graph, you can see that now there is a globular kind of thing. Now let me show you. This is what has happened to our egg. Our egg is now completely cooked.
Now, let me explain you the scientific principle that is involved behind this process.
Ever we cook an egg, we simply fry it or we boil it. But that process is simply break the 3D structures of the biomolecules which are present in it. This process is called as the denaturing of proteins. As I told you, the simple way of cooking an egg or denaturing it is by frying or boiling it. But another innovative way, what we just tried, is by adding the compounds like alcohol in the egg, which denatures the proteins by altering the 3D structures. Alcohol does so by disrupting the intramolecular side chains of hydrogen and rather bonds with the proteins which are present. Protein folding is the key feature by which any protein folds its shape and its 3D structure, which is hit by alcohol. And that is how we cook an egg without salt. And now I would like to give the speech to Anupama.
I am Shrestha from class 11. Before telling you my topic, let's all of us imagine something. Imagine yourself enjoying near a river of Southern America with your feet in the water. Suddenly you got a shock. Before you could understand, you got another. Meanwhile you were thinking, who gave you this? You saw a creature. Looking totally normal but having a superpower to produce electricity. This capability of certain organisms to produce electricity is known as biogenesis of electricity. Today I will be talking about this. To make it easy to understand, let's do activity first. I will be doing this activity in water because most of the organisms which produce electricity reside in water. I will be giving this potential difference in the water and then I will immerse this LED into it. Any guesses what will happen? Let's see what happens. See, it started to glow up. Most of you would have guessed it correctly. This happened due to the flow of charges. But do you know the same concept is utilized by these fishes to produce electricity? They have an electric organ made up of thousands of electrocytes. You would be knowing electrocyte is a modified form of nervous tissue which help in the conduction of electric impulses. They have a negative charge inside and a positive charge outside. But whenever the organism feels a need for electricity, the brain sends a signal to the electric organ demanding for electricity, due to which these electrocytes open their pores, allowing the positive charge to come inside. Therefore, the flow of charges becomes from outside to inside.
all of you know what happens next. Electricity is produced. You would be wondering, why don't they get a shock out of their electricity? But this is a mystery to all the scientists around the globe. There is no possible answer to this question, but some scientists argue about their shape, or some say they might be covered with a protein layer which helps them to be shock resistant. But this turns out to be a mystery for all the humans. The electricity produced here is utilized in communication, navigation, and for killing their prey in the fish. Do you think we could also utilize it? All of you know, because of the increasing population, we are running out of resources. Like in Japan, during Christmas, a big tree is decorated with lots of light. But they need not to worry about the money and need not to spend a penny, because the electricity there is derived from an electric eel. Isn't that fascinating? We could also use it in India during the season of Diwali, which could help us to reduce a big amount from our electricity bills. This turns out to be a very good alternative in this need of hour. Thank you. I request the next participant to take over.
Hello everyone, this is Sheetal Alaria, and today we are going to perform an activity which is somehow related to biology and somehow related to chemistry. This activity is going to solve all the mysteries, because in this activity we are going to detect fingerprints. To perform this activity we are going to need potassium iodide pure, copper sulfate pennyhydrate, a beaker, a petri dish, some water, and a plain sheet of paper. So without wasting much time, let's quickly get started. So first of all, we are going to put this potassium iodide into the beaker. We are going to add a little bit water into it. We are going to mix it. Now we have to put this copper sulfate pennyhydrate in this petri dish. You can see its color. Now we are going to add this potassium iodide solution into it. You can see the color has been changed due to the formation of iodine. Now what we are going to do, we are going to put our fingers on this plain sheet of paper. As you can see, no fingerprints have been imprinted on the plain sheet of paper, and now we are going to put this plain sheet of paper on this petri dish. And now we have to do nothing but wait for a good 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes, as you can see, the fingerprints got imprinted on the sheet of paper. Now this happened due to the formation of iodine. The sweat present on our fingers condensed the iodine fumes coming out of this solution. Actually, such experiments are performed by drug officers of our country in order to detect criminals. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for these wonderful activities. Now, before moving on, let me ask you a simple question. Like, if you allow to fall a feather and a ball from the same height, then which of them will hit the ground first? I know it's common sense and it's obvious that the heavier object will hit the ground first, but it's true only for Earth. As you perform the same experiment on the moon, you'll find that both objects are hitting the ground at the same exact time. I know some of you might be wondering, well, not some of you, almost everyone might be thinking that it's due to gravity, but actually it's atmosphere. As on the Earth, the air in the atmosphere makes the flight of the feather slow. But on moon, there is no such atmosphere. So both the objects hit the ground at the same exact time. I hope you all are getting it. Now moving on, we are having Preeti, Monica and Aditi from class 12th, and Dishita, Deepika and Naman Soni from class 11th will be performing amazing.
Hello everyone, this is Preeti of class 12 from Birla Shishu Vihar. My experiment is bubble inside a bubble. This experiment works upon the principle of surface tension, wettability and excess pressure inside a bubble. So here we start.
Pour about 237 ml of water into the bowl and then we will add a tablespoon of sugar to the water and mix. After that, we will add 2 tablespoons of shampoo to the water. It's important that the surface you work on be very clean and have no pits or bumps on it. Smoothness make better bubble. Use your finger to spread some of the bubble solution in a circle on the work surface. Blow a bubble hemisphere onto the moistened surface using the straw. Make it a fairly large bubble. The sugar gives the bubble a lot more strength, flexibility and stability. Tip and cork the bubble vent completely again and gently push it inside the first.
Bubbles formed due to water's reduced surface tension due to soap molecules. Hydrogen atoms and oxygen atoms are having a great force of attraction in water molecules, but soap molecules reduce them and help the bubble to become more stretchy.
Greetings everyone, I am Monica, a student of Birla Shishu Vihar of class 12. Today I am standing in front of you to present you all a physics activity whose topic is convention spiral. The materials required are candle, pen, paper, scissor and string. Method 1. Cut a spiral out of paper. Second, make a hole in the exact center of spiral and thread the string through it. Third, light the candle. Fourth, hold the string and dangle the spiral 10 cm above the desk lamp. Conclusion. The desk lamp light heats the surrounding air. Heating air causes the air molecule to travel farther apart, thereby making air less dense. Less dense air will always rise above dense air. As the warm lighter air rises upward, the paper spiral begins to spin. This process keeps working because the cooler surrounding air keeps coming towards the light and warming up. Its daily life uses can be seen in thunderstorms and ocean currents. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Aditi of class 12 from Birla Shishu Bihar. Today I am going to perform soda geyser. Here we are aimed to know the reason behind the eruption resulting from the combination of Diet Coke and Mentos. We require only 2 materials. First one, Diet Coke or soda. Second one, Mentos. The basic principle behind this eruption is that carbon dioxide is being released. The water molecules trapping carbon dioxide, but when this Mentos dropped in and goes to the bottom, it disrupts all water mesh. Literally, it pushes all liquid up and out of the solution. Now I would like to tell you that there are some chemicals like aspartame, potassium benzoate and sugar which responsible for the reducing the surface tension of the coke and acts as surfactants. This candy provides the rough surface to the cokes that allows the bonds between carbon dioxide and water to break more easily to create carbon dioxide and resulting in formation of bubbles. When these cokes or sodas are packed, these are packed under pressure so that more carbon dioxide can be forced into it. In real life also there are some phenomena related to this based on the same principle like blasting paper, inflating life rafts, promoting the production of plants in greenhouse and even in fire extinguisher. Thank you.
your grandparents complaining about joint pains or arthritis pain, and you wonder why this happens, even if the medical reports are all fine. Well, there might be some biological reasons to this as well, but today I'm going to explain you this from view of physics. Well, it's Tushita Gupta of class 11th from Birla Shishu Vihar. Aim of my activity is to explain you all about pressure difference and atmospheric pressure. The name of my activity is fleeting crest. So, the material required for this activities are a see-through glass, colored water, candle, glass plate and some matchsticks. So, the working principle for this is basically atmospheric pressure and pressure difference. Now, let's perform the activity. Take the glass plate. Now pour colored water in it. Now put candle in it. Now just light the matchstick. Now I'm going to put this inverted glass on it. Just see water level is rising slowly. And here the candle goes off. So basically, two effects causes this, physical effect and chemical effect. Let's first throw some light on physical effect. The candle flame inside the glass uses up oxygen, which creates a low pressure area. Atmospheric pressure then tries to force its way in. Due to this, a pressure imbalance is created inside and outside of the glass. Then the water rises until the pressure is equal inside and outside of the glass. Now let me explain you chemical aspect of this. Actually, oxygen and paraffin react because twice as much oxygen is used up as the carbon dioxide is released. Due to this, there is a low area volume created. Now, I know you all are curious to know how atmospheric pressure is linked to joint pains and arthritis pain. So I would like to tell you that according to Arthritis Foundation, every 10 degrees Celsius drop in temperature causes an increment in the joint pains. This happens because lower atmospheric pressure pushes less against the body, due to which tissues expand. Expanded tissues pressurizes the joints.
Good morning everyone. I am Deepika from class 11th Birla Shishu Vihar. I have made the Bernoulli's sprayer. The aim of this activity is to demonstrate the Bernoulli's principle. Here I have used a simple sprayer and colored water. You may also use simple water. Bernoulli's principle states that an increase in the speed of a fluid which occurs simultaneously with a decrease in the static pressure or a decrease in the fluid's potential energy. It means that it tells us about the relationship between the velocity and pressure. As the velocity increases, the pressure subsequently decreases. That means they are both inversely proportional to each other. Now, fill the sprayer with the water. Here you can see that when I try to spray the water will not directly come out of the nozzle. It means firstly some air, some tiny droplets, and after that the water comes out of the nozzle. Do you know why this happened? Here in this diagram you can see that when I try to press this trigger A in the backward direction, a low pressure is created inside this sprayer, which is much less than the atmospheric pressure. It means pressure inside the sprayer is different and pressure outside the sprayer is also different. So by the difference in both the pressure, a force is exerted on the water. due to which the air present inside the sprayer is released out, followed by the water in the form of spray through this nozzle B, due to which the increase in the force will be exerted on the water. You may also use this in your daily lives for lifting the fluid upward without exerting the more pressure. You have generally seen in the barber shop, the barber uses this sprayer. So I hope you all have understood Bernoulli's principle very clearly. Thank you.
I am Naman Soni, student of class 11, Billa Shishuvya, and today I am going to demonstrate the Hiran's fountain. So this is the Hiran's fountain, and it was first developed in AD by the Hirans of Alexandria. The working principle behind it is the gravitational potential and air pressure. And the aim of today's experiment is to see how air pressure and gravitational potential work together in the functioning of this fountain. So the material required to make this is 2 plastic bottles and a pair of straws. So let us move to its functioning part. So the lower bottle and the middle bottle are connected with a pair of straw. The middle bottle and the upper cap are also connected with a pair of straw, and the upper cap and the middle bottle are connected with straw. So these 3 parts are interconnected to each other. So first of all, we'll pour some water in the upper cap. The water here is at high gravitational potential, due to which it drains to the lower bottle. So the water drains to the upper cap to the lower bottle due to the presence of the straw which connects both of them. So now we have to transfer this water to the middle bottle. So the bottles are connected with the straw, due to which the water transfer from the lower bottle to the middlemost bottle. So now we will pour some water in the upper cap, and which the water will drain to the lower bottle, and the air present here will be shifted to the middle bottle, where it will accumulate and exert a pressure on the water in the downward direction, due to which the water will come out from this fountain, as there is only one exit for the water, which is the straw which connects the upper cap and the middle bottle. So let us see how it works. So as we can see, the fountain has started. The real life application of these fountains is in the Taj Mahal fountains, and this concept is also used in the historical monuments around the globe. This is how the Hiran's fountain works. Thank you.
Well, the activities were really amazing. So now let's move on. Life is a chemistry. Dilute your sorrow, evaporate your worries, filter your mistake, boil your ego, and you will get the perfect crystal of happiness. Now it's time for chemistry, and we have Madhav, Dipanshu, and Seema from class 12th, and Krishna Priya, Payal, and Deepak from class 11th will be performing interesting activities related to chemistry. So let's wait and watch what these guys are up to.
Hello everyone, I am Madhav of class 12th, and today I am gonna to make hot ice. Yes, you must be wondering that how the ice can be hot. So let's get started with that. For this we will require For this, we will need baking soda and vinegar. Take 500 ml of vinegar and add 2 tablespoons of baking soda. Now we need to boil this solution. Boil it for about 15 minutes so that 90% of the liquid gets evaporated. You may need to boil it more than 15 minutes depending upon the flame. After boiling the solution, pour it in a jar and keep the jar in refrigerator for 5 to 10 minutes. And take out after 5 to 10 minutes and keep it in room temperature. Scrub off some of the sodium acetate formed at the vessel and put it in the sodium in this solution. Now you can see that it has become a solid. You can see that it has been converted into ice. Now let us understand how this hot ice has been formed. First of all, we reacted vinegar with baking soda, that is the reaction of sodium bicarbonate with acetic acid, which gave us sodium acetate and water, and CO2. CO2 escaped while water remained in the solution. To remove water, we boiled the solution and then kept it in the refrigerator to make it a supercooled solution. And that supercooled solution was very unstable. So with the help of few crystals of sodium acetate, it crystallized as a whole and became ice instantaneously. It has some practical application also. In winter season, it is used as hand warmers. Thank you.
Hello everybody. My name is Krishna Priya and I am a student of class 11 from Birla Shishu Vihar. Today we are going to see how a thermometer works. For that, I have prepared a thermometer at home. For that, I have used a plastic bottle, a plastic straw, and I have inserted the straw into the bottle through its lid. I have also taken a mixture of water and methanol in equal quantities, and I have dyed it with some food coloring so that the level of the liquid can be easily recognized. I have also taken some modeling clay to seal the lid. So let's see how it works. As you can see that I have poured all the mixture in this water bottle and I have sealed the lid with the clay. So now what I am going to do is I am going to put this bottle into this container filled with boiled water. See, the level of water is going up. And as I am taking it away, it is going down. We are going to do it once more. See, the level of water is rising. And as I am taking it away, it's decreasing. So what's happening is, when I am putting this into this boiled water, so the heat of the water gets transferred into the liquid and it expands and it goes up. And as I am taking it away, the temperature decreases and it contracts, so it goes down. So what we just saw was, when I put the bottle into the container, the level of the liquid rises, and as I took it away, it decreases. So the principle behind it is thermal expansion. It is exactly how a thermometer works. Whenever you test your body temperature with the thermometer, your body heat gets transferred into mercury and it heats up. And as it heats up, it expands and its level rises and it shows you the temperature. So this is all we wanted to demonstrate here. I hope you like it, and I suggest that you do it at your home so that you get a better understanding of the concept. Thank you.
Hello friends, my name is Pal. I am from class 11th and I study in Birla Shishu Vihar School. Today we are here for an exciting experiment, lemon juice with secret messages. The aim of the project is to make an invisible ink that can be viewed only by the some person. Basically, it is an old trick that I have learned in my childhood. But trust me students, it is an exciting experiment that can be done with minimum efforts and time. So the material required for this exciting experiment, we have lemon juice solution, matchstick, candle, paintbrush and the plain paper where we can write upon. So let's start the procedure to make this exciting experiment. First of all, we have to take the lemon juice solution. Then we have to take the paintbrush where we can write upon, and from there after dipping it into the lemon juice, we have to take the plain paper where we can write upon. Now we can see that we have written our secret message on the plain paper. So we have to be wait for 15 minutes to dry it completely so that it cannot be viewed by any person. We can see that our message is completely dry. So we have to be hold it on the candle flame sufficiently from excessive burning. So now we can see that our secret message is clearly visible. So the principle behind for this juice solution is that when we painted the lemon juice solution onto the paper, it absorbs the carbon based compounds, and when we apply the heat to the paper, break down the some compounds and release the carbon, and once the carbon came into the contact with air, it goes for the process known as
Good morning, I am Seema, class 12 from Birla Shishu Vihar. Today I will show you an experiment. The name of this experiment is gin in bottle, or you may say magic gin in bottle. The aim of this experiment is hydrogen peroxide decomposed in water vapor and oxygen gas. Magnesium dioxide catalyze the exothermic reaction. This is the main aim of this experiment. Now material required for this experiment is glass bottle, H2O2 30%, scissor, thread, tissue paper and magnesium dioxide. These are the material required for this experiment. Now the scientific principle of this experiment is oxygen is odorless, colorless gas at room temperature and atmospheric pressure. Oxygen is first discovered by Joseph Priestley. Joseph Priestley first realized that oxygen is a unique component of air. Oxygen is formed from decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Oxygen is formed from decomposition of hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is not very stable due to by many means. And the uses of this experiment is, this is generally used by the magician to make the people fool. They said they have a gin in bottle and make the people fool. So let's see the experiment.
This is manganese dioxide. This is H2O2 30%. This is manganese dioxide. This is all about this activity. Thank you.
I'm Dipanshu Jani who today gonna show you an amazing activity based on the principle of decomposition reaction. So let's get started. These are the materials required for this reaction, and here is H2O2 and that is 30% concentrated. And this one is KMnO4, that is known as potassium permanganate, and it behaves as a catalyst. And here is shampoo that is used in this reaction. Let's proceed for this reaction. 2 pinches of KMnO4 in a bowl and mix with water. And now we have to add some drops of shampoo in it. This one. And now mix it well. And now we have to put H2O2 in about 10 ml in a glass. And now we have to mix it with the KMnO4.
Good evening and good day to all my viewers. Myself Deepak Johan from Birla C.R. Pilani of class 11 science. Well, I do not claim myself as a chemical scientist, but I prepare a beautiful video to all my viewers. It is magic mud. Let us start our video. Material required to make magic mud are cornstarch, water, food color. First, I will tell you the principle of magic mud. Using the kinetic molecular theory to explain the property of liquid. This is the principle of magic mud. Now, how to make magic mud? Let us start. Take some cornstarch in a bowl. Mix some water in it. Then mix with a stick. Now it is perfectly mixed. You can see this, it is mixed well. Now add some food color in it. Now mix it. Now our magic mud is ready. You can see this, our magic mud. It is in liquid. Now I will tell you how will this create this equilibrium. After mixing the cornstarch with the water, the mixture will appear to be a liquid, as you can see this, but it will act like a solid. Now you can see this, act like a solid. This magic mud is non-neutronial fluid, a substance that exhibits characteristics of both liquid and a solid. You can see this, it is in liquid in this bowl. When I provide a pressure with this stick, it is become solid. The starch molecule obtain an electric charge as they rub together. The faster they are rubbed, the more electron attraction is created among the molecules. This also cause an increase in viscosity, as you can see. When I provide a pressure in it, the stick does not go inside it. When I do not provide any pressure, this stick go inside. This is our magic mud. Well, dear my viewers, I hope you must have enjoyed. I want that you must should follow this experiment and understand the law of nature. Thank you.
Well, these activities were wonderful. Now it's time to thank all the participants and all the teachers for making this event so successful, and a big thanks to our viewers. Now it's time to end the event with a beautiful video clip.